Hey, what's up? Last Layer King here. Today I'm going to go over an alternate way of solving O-Perm with advanced weak swap. If you haven't seen my prior video on O-Perm parity, or you aren't familiar with how to do triple weak swap, check out some previous videos in my playlist to learn how to do that. This technique will only apply to ECCE solving order, which means if you memo corners first, this technique will not work. So if your buffer piece is UB, then O-Perm parity occurs if you weak swap your buffer piece to UL, you weak swap the UL piece to UF, and you weak swap the UF piece to UR, and you have parity. When this happens, you will end up with your last three targets being UR, UF, and UL for edges, and then you'll solve all but your last corner target. That'll give you a position that looks like this, where you have an O-Perm and a parity target, and you'll finish the solve with an O-Perm parity alg. However, there is a better way of solving this. As you notice here, all of the edges in this position are a U move away from being solved. And you'll be able to identify that this will happen once you finish your edge memorization, at which point you wouldn't have started your corner memorization yet because you're memoing edges first. Because all of your edges are a U move away from being solved, it will be more efficient to memo all the corners to be a U move away from being solved than to memorize them normally. That way, instead of getting a position that looks like this, you'll get a position that looks like this. Also, if you do this, you'll get an even number of corner targets, so that means you don't have to do a parity alg. The only parity you'll do is a single U move at the end. I want to give credit to Aiden Bryant for suggesting this technique. He commented on my original O-Perm parity video, so I want to give him a shout out for that. So the trickiest part of this technique is going to be memorizing all of corners to a U move, because you're essentially memorizing all the pieces to different locations than you're used to memorizing them to. So whenever you're memorizing, if you ever hit the UBL piece, you're going to memorize it to UFL. And you have to be able to learn this for all the targets, so that if you hit like this piece here, you want to send it to here. If you hit this target, you want to send it to here, and so forth. If you do weak swap on corners and your buffer is UBL, this should be pretty natural. But for the other corners, it won't be as natural. But you'll just have to learn, if you hit the UFL piece, just know what target to shoot it to on the UFR piece. And for the UFR piece, know what target to shoot it to on the UBR piece. The UBR piece is actually going to be like your new buffer here, because you're memoing the UBR piece to the UBL location, and the UBL location is your buffer location. So if you hit this piece, then you're either done with memo or you have to cycle break. For, when it comes to memoing to a U move, most of it is pretty straightforward. It just takes a little bit of practice. There are a couple scenarios I do want to go over though. So for this case here, we have this piece which is twisted in place. So whenever this happens, when you hit the piece that goes here, the UFL piece, you're going to send it to UFR. So this piece here is just going to go to UBR. So there's no cycle break, there's no twist really. So just as an example, in this position, if we're starting at UBL, this piece goes to here, the UFL piece goes to UFR, which goes to here, and then this piece belongs in this location, but we're going to send it over to here to be a U move away, and that's how we'll continue. Another scenario to consider is if you have a piece like this one that is already a U move away, but twisted. So in this case here, if we're memoing to a U move, this is a correctly solved piece other than the orientation, because the UFL piece goes to UFR, and it's in UFR. So this will just treat as a normal corner twist. So if I were to memo this position here, this UBL piece goes to here to here. This is the UFR piece, so we're going to send it to UBR, and I know I have to send it to this target on UBR, which goes to here, which goes to here. This is my original buffer, so I have to shoot it to UFL, which goes to here. And this is the UBR piece, which is my new buffer. So at this point, I finished the cycle, and I have 6 targets, and I haven't landed on the correct orientation, so I know there's a twist, and the twist is right here. If I were to solve it, it would go like this. So what we get is the piece in the buffer location is twisted, and this corner still remains twisted. And after doing the twist alg, all the corners are a U move away from being solved. If there are other edge flips on the cube and corner twists, sometimes you have to be careful about what order you solve your pieces in if you have parity. However, because corners and edges can be solved entirely independent of each other when using this technique, you can solve any 2-flip or 2-twist whenever you want, as long as you do it before the final U move of the solve. If your buffers are UF and UFR, then the concept is going to work the same. Whenever you hit your buffer piece, you'll send it to UBR, which if you're doing corner weak swap, that'll be your corner weak swap location, so that should be a pretty easy setup to know. And then if you hit the UBR piece, it'll go to UBL. If you hit the UBL piece, it'll go to UFL. And then the UFL piece is your new buffer. So whenever you hit the UFL piece, you're either done or you have to cycle break. So now let's do an entire example solve where we can use this technique. So we'll start by memoing edges. So my buffer is UB, so this piece goes to here. This is the buffer piece, so we'll weak swap it to UL, so here to here, which goes to here. This is the UL piece, so I'll double weak swap it to UF to here. This piece goes to here, which goes to here, and then we've hit the UF piece, so we're going to weak swap it to UR, so it goes to here. This piece goes to here, and we've hit the UR piece, and we're still not done, so we have to cycle break. So we'll cycle break it to here. This piece goes to here to here. So that gives me 12 targets, and I've done a triple weak swap, which means I'll get an O-Perm on edges. So now to start corner memo, my buffer is UBL, so this piece normally would go to here, but because I'm memoing to a U move, I'm going to send it to here. And then this piece is another top layer piece, which would normally go to here, but I'm going to send it to here, so that it's a U move away. So my first 2 targets are here and here. And now I've hit the buffer piece, because this is UBR, and UBR is my new buffer. So I have to cycle break. So I will cycle break to here. I'm just arbitrarily picking this position. This piece goes to here, which goes to here, and I've hit my original buffer, which I know goes to UFL, back to here, and that finishes the cycle. And there is a twist on the cube. So for corner memo, I have buffer to here to here, to here to here, to here to here, with a twist. So now solving it, I solve corners first. So here to here to here. And then buffer cycle breaking to here to here. And then buffer to here to finish the cycle. And then I can either do this corner twist now or at the end of the solve. And I like to do corner twist at the end of the solve. So I'll go on to edges. So we had buffer to here. And this sets up our first weak swap. Buffer to here, which sets up the second weak swap on edges. And then we have buffer to here, and then to here, and then to here, cycle breaking to here, and then here, buffer to here. And now I finished edges, and I have this last corner twist remaining, so I'll do the corner twist alg. And now all I have to do to finish the cube is U. So I hope you found this video instructive. I've got a couple more videos on this topic coming soon, and I will catch you in the next video.